Hi, welcome everybody. Tonight is another one of our designer boardroom, and tonight we are talking about shopping like a pro, how to navigate markets and shop trends, even if you didn't go to market. So that's the first thing we want to talk about for everybody that's on. And again, you're going to need to use the Q&A. Who on tonight made it to one of the markets, whether it was High Point, Dallas, Atlanta, we're just really, or Vegas. We would love for you to put it in the Q&A if you actually made it to one of them this year.
Or any year.
Yeah, if you've
What
ever been to
markets
one.
what markets have you attended over the years, if any?
That's a good point. So this was really a hot topic because, I mean, let's face it, when we've had some years that, these markets were really shut down, that we learned really quick that we needed to stay on top of trends and still make money for our clients, even if we didn't get to attend these markets. So that's what was a really hot topic, and we wanted to cover that tonight. So, how Joanne and I know. So, I am Sandra Race. If this happens to be your first webinar, welcome. There is Joanne with me. There you go. And if we are actually in your way, you can move us to another side of your screen if you want to. But Joanne and I have been together for how many years, Joanne? 20, a long time, 20
A
something.
long time. Yeah.
And we've attended a lot of markets together. We've actually, we do trends webinars every year, and we love sharing everything we know. I mean, like you just learned some things that had nothing to do with staging, design, decorating, color. But we love sharing what we know, and that's what we're going to do tonight. And we want you to see too. We actually have some fun things coming up, some webinars about how to actually make money. We delve deeper than we do in the design boardroom. But as you can see, going to market not only is an expense, but it's work. I mean, we look like we are,
Mhm.
these are some Vegas ones. And as you can see, we are hot. We are, and I don't mean hot, hot. We are just sweating. Um, but I thought I would throw this one up too, the one on the bottom right about being prepared. I did at the last minute, I was, speaking at one of the breakout sessions. It was not the time that I was supposed to on the day, but I like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So just put yourself out there if you get some of these opportunities at market to be able to speak and share your expertise.
Yeah, and in today's world, that's even more important. I mean, when you and I were coming up through the ranks before the internet and before the whole influencer element, it wasn't as much as an issue. I mean, I was speaking at High Point 40 years ago. But in today's world with social media and the fact that you can share that so immediately, it really adds to your credibility. So don't wait to be asked. Put yourself out there and offer.
Love it. So, we want tonight to really reemphasize why it matters for you to know what's happening at market, what's happening in these trends, because you're going to have to source them for your clients. And by being in the know, and like I said, don't feel like you're paralyzed or at a disadvantage if you didn't actually get on that plane and get to one of these markets. But
Mhm.
our clients really do expect us to know what's in. I will say after I go to market, I am and just organically saying, "Oh my gosh, Mary, I have to tell you, my client's always Mary too. Oh my gosh, Mary, you will not believe this is one of the new trends. And we've just been to Home Goods or wherever it might be shopping together. This scalloped edge is so hot right now. And just you being able to relay what's in gives her peace of mind that you know what you're talking about. Like
Right.
Joanne just said, it boosts your credibility and it sets you apart. And whether if you're on this call tonight and it is a hobby, you haven't taken any of the certification classes, when you're charging like we all are, you really do need to set yourself apart. You're not a DIY kind of learning on the fly. you have that expertise. And knowing the vendors, knowing what are some of the best resources, what are some resources better for staging. I have some of my favorite staging for large art. So knowing which showrooms you want to go to if you're physically there, or knowing which ones you want to have those relationships with. And and like I just said, if you're shopping at Home Goods or Target, watching how the market is influencing what's available at retail. I think, Joanne, I mean, tell me if you agree with this. I think our our retail opportunities are getting our trends so much faster than they used to be.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, living in Erie, Pennsylvania, they always would say we were a year behind. We're not anymore. With the power of the internet, I think we're all pretty much at a level playing field. And I think one of the most important things why it matters is you are not going to be able to make mega money charging hourly or for your time only. You need to have other revenue streams, and products are a great one. Why should someone else be making that money when you can? And if all you're doing is shopping retail, then chances are you're not marking it up, and you're losing out on that income.
And that goes back to knowing what's in not only with the trends and what's happening in our world, what's, to look for, but also what's happening and what's an industry standard for what you can charge and what you can mark up.
Bridget mentioned that she's been to the Atlanta and Vegas markets, and Donna with an A is says she's in London and would love to come to the American market. She does go to the London shows, which are slightly similar. Yet the bottom line is, Donna, wherever you are, it's where all the industry leaders come together and basically tell us what our clients are going to be spending money on for the next few years.
Well, and that's a good point. Donna is going to her market, which is
Mhm.
London. I switch. I used to go to Atlanta more than I go to Vegas. And when I moved to this West Coast, then, well, not only was Vegas closer, but it also catered slightly to my area, my region of the
Right,
country.
right.
So, one of the things that you're going to see when you go to these markets is what's a dated trend versus these trend forward things that we're going to see. And I just popped a few in here so that you could see what some of the trends are. I told Joanne it was so hard. I could have filled 2 hours worth of trends, what we really need to be looking for. But if let's look at the left side, one of the hot trends right now are the plaids. And you can see at this photo right here. Now, Joanne and I were going, okay, they really did emphasize these plaids between the carpet and the wallpaper, but versus where we had seen some more florals. Stripes are really hot right now too, but plaids were one that we wanted to kind of show as a trend forward. And then on the right side, mixing patterns. Big, big focus on mixing patterns as opposed to what we've seen a lot of those monochromatic rooms, it's a form of gray and now maybe grayish or whatever it might be. We're getting to really embrace some color and all the patterns that you sometimes shy away from, especially if we're doing staging. We're like, okay, we can't have too much of a personality in there, which is a shame sometimes. But okay, and here's a few more. So we have seen this a lot. This more
We sure have.
industrial, a little bit more of a modern flair. What you're seeing now at market is a vintage influence. We have so much thrifting. I mean, all you got to do is look at TikTok for about 2 minutes and somebody's at a thrift store, showing how they could put it in their store and mark it up. So vintage lighting, vintage materials, it's making a really big splash at market.
Yeah, I think, watching the trend, we've been so linear for the last few years, and the curves are really reintroducing themselves. And as with anything, it's always done with a light hand, whatever you're doing. You don't want a preponderance of any line, shape, form, or color.
Exactly. So on the right side, this big trend where we've seen this kind of ball circular feel on vases, lamps,
Hobnails, yeah.
hmm And now you can see this is from Global Views. Love Global Views. That's a showroom that if you're there or establish your account, they have so many amazing products. But you can see more of this sculptural. It almost feels like a way, like you think, gosh, I could do that, but we're not. But it definitely a bigger influence of that organic feel. But understand this is still in our markets. We're still going to see this, when we shop local, and even it's going to stay around for a little bit longer. But we want you to see we're making this shift to some of these new products.
And I think what's important for everyone to understand, we cannot be trend tramps, but adding a few trend elements to a space really can help a room feel like it is today as opposed to yesterday. The other thing is too, when you watch these trends, like when Sandra showed the plaids, it's like, hey girl, I have been there and done that at least twice in my 40 plus years. So, everything is going to cycle. So there may be something in your client's cache of stuff that, was out and now suddenly feels fresh and new again.
And that goes back to like knowing what's in. Every year there's probably something that Joanne and I can say, "Oh God, I hate the color of the year." I mean, we have said I'm not
Yeah.
using that washed out mauve again because it doesn't first of all work with any of our client spaces or where we are, but at least you can say, this is the trend. I haven't quite embraced it. What do you think? And now you've engaged your client.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's understand the big markets. We picked three because, I mean, four, excuse me, because these are the biggest ones. High Point, Atlanta market, Dallas, and then Vegas. And because we also wanted to kind of hit the regions of the country, but they typically are running seasonally, spring and fall. And showrooms will reveal some of their new lines 6 months ahead of 6 months at least before it's going to retail. Um, I, in fact, Joanne and I used to put on a conference in Atlanta in January, and this will give you an idea too. And I do encourage you to, even if, let's say, Atlanta is the closest to you, having some insight of which market you want to go to. First of all, you want to make sure it's either featuring the furniture or the gift or whatever, if you have a storefront.
Mm-hmm.
But to give you an idea, January in Atlanta, they have 4,000 temporaries. Now, that's on top of their permanent showrooms. That is a lot of walking. That is, up to 27 floors. You're not going to need to hit all 27 of the three buildings, but it's a lot. It's a lot to focus on. And we actually changed the conference to go to July because they still had 2,000 temporaries in July and it was more manageable. We could hit everything we needed and help students hit the showrooms that they needed to have those popular accounts. Um,
Now, if I can just say, Sandra, if seasonal decorating is a big part of your income, then you want to hit the January markets because that's one of the reasons why in Atlanta and Dallas they show all the Christmas and holiday stuff for that coming year. And so you can order in January for your seasonal clients in the fall and it won't be shipped until you are ready, but you're going to be in front of those trends.
Great point. So just thought it would be good for you guys to see these are the 2025 markets, their dates, and just so you can have an idea. You can kind of see what they have as in the months, but also, like I said, be sure that they're offering, like Atlanta has markets throughout the year, but these are the two big ones, and that it is having and showcasing what you're interested in.
And also watch if you have a retail space. I would always go to the cash and carry markets,
Mm.
which typically are a little later in the year. So they're between the last market of the year and the first market of the coming year. And so they would sell off all of their showroom merchandise at fabulous buys. For any of you that are in the North Carolina area, you've shopped at retail places locally that have many of those market finds. I remember going to market one time um, with one of my retail stores, and we went and ended up renting a U-Haul before we were done because we had purchased so much stuff it was not going to fit, but it was like half of wholesale. So if you have a retail store, that's something for you to keep in mind are the cash and carry opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. So, Joanne, you want to talk about before?
Sure. I mean, before you go, try to create a market plan, a market game plan. If you have not gone to a market before, they always have newbies or first timers sessions that will kind of guide you. I'd encourage you to sit through one of them. Also, do not go for a day or even two. Ideally, you want a minimum of 3 days. And if you're going to High Point, you definitely want 3 or more days because that market is located all over the city. Start now and subscribe to some of your vendor emails and preview books. Like Sandra and I both have gotten preview books for the markets that are upcoming, so we can both see, what are some of the trends, what are some of our favorite vendors doing. Some of your vendors may actually require appointments during market time for you to do your ordering. Follow these markets that you would be apt to go to or not. You just to stay on top of it on Instagram and Pinterest. Um, and then make a watch list. If you're shopping in a boutique or a store, and I'm not talking about home goods or whatever, but if you're talking shopping in a private store, look at those labels. Find out who some of these companies are, so that when you go to market, if it's a line you like, then you can look them up.
Exact. And it's interesting too. I have been to markets and I feel like I have got to focus on, let's say, pillows, because all of a sudden I feel like I'm just shopping for pillows all the time and I want to have something that you don't see local. So understand that one year you might have a totally different focus than the next year. One year I was all about sofas. I had so many sofas that I needed to sit in, explore, and check out.
And let's also talk about with AI today. One of the things that I would do if you are not playing with AI yet, you should be. It's such a lifesaver. And if you guys are interested, we can do a program on AI sometime in the future. But use your AI, introduce yourself, tell it about your business, tell it what your average sale is, what kind of price tags do your customers buy, and then ask it to recommend for you, who are 10 must see vendors that I should be seeking out, whether you're going to market or whether you simply need to make a connection and get a virtual catalog from them.
That's a great point. And I will also
Of
encourage
course it is.
it's that here. No, I was going to say, don't shy away too, because you'll see at market, instead of just showrooms, individual showrooms, they will have huge floors. The whole floor will just have little pockets. I have found some of my best resources, very organic console tables with metal and organic wood. It's incredible. And it's like a little bitty corner over on one of the whole floors. So check those out too. Um, okay, so be sure and at the end of market, after it's all over, you want to go read what the recaps were. What did the forecasters think? What did other people kind of highlight? I got to tell you, one year Joanne and I did a trends report after market, and we had several people go, "Oh my gosh, I missed that." So you want to, don't assume you're going to hit, you might miss something. So be sure and read that. Look for those market trend reports, and they'll be in PDFs you can by brand or by magazines. Look at YouTube recaps, TikTok now, and be sure what we've already said, take some of those Instagram, take a screenshot if you want to remember, but organize them so you can keep up with them. So we just picked three of our favorite ones. We could have again filled, in this program, filled about 10 pages worth. But Noristan is Surya is one of the top selling rug wholesalers. Although I really love Noristan, they have some price points that are great for staging. They have the ability that you can actually go and create your own color waves that are introduced in some of the rugs. Some of them are no extra charge. So, and you would not have known that if you hadn't stopped and, like Joanne had said, made that appointment, checked out some of their rugs, spent some time in that showroom. There's four hands. I don't order as much from them right now. Uttermost used to be one of my go-tos. They just really change their minimums every year. I mean, to like something like $20,000. I didn't even look this year because I'd like to have different vendors that I use, but they're very popular and they have a host of categories, from lamps to rugs to furniture. So, Joanne, are you ordering as much from them anymore?
No, and Sandra, like you say, these are kind of key vendors that everybody is using. So this is where I love to find those temporaries so that I'm getting something that has a different feel and a different look to them. Because uttermost, like you say, everybody carries them, but they typically have good product and very stylish items.
Exactly. Well, and this is like keeping your eye open. One year I went to a tour homes in Park City and I had just come back from market and I could pick out Uttermost in every one of the homes. And I
Mhm.
thought that's when I start to feel it's too saturated. So you want to bring that new resource to your clients.
Absolutely.
So again, we just picked out some influencers for you to check out. In fact, right here are some of the top interior design influencers, if you even want to just take a little snapshot of that. And we've all kind of had a lot of Studio McGee. She's everywhere now. I
Mhm.
mean, everywhere. Of course, Joanna Gaines could have been one we could have still popped in here, but again, a little bit saturated, still has some interesting products at Target and furniture lines. But here's some that you may not have checked out yet that we want you to go look them up. Okay, hashtag it, girls. I mean, in fact, sometimes I just am glad to get the blog written or Joanne's written it, but those hashtags are important and they're a great way for you to go to your social media. If let's say you're on Instagram and you can hashtag after one of you could hashtag the Las Vegas um, hashtag or design influence or home trends 2025. Those were two of the most popular ones. But if you know an influencer you want to follow, you can hashtag them.
And think about this, Sandra talked about the going to market or attending virtual things. If you can't get to a live market, which I mean, you want to go at some point because it's such a treat. Um, but think about marketing your business as we're moving now into fall. Perhaps you want to host a webinar of your own that maybe talks about the trends for the new year, or maybe talks about what the holiday decorating trends are. Use it. You're not looking for people in the industry like yourself. You're looking to find new clients. So if you're getting out there, or you do a little 3-minute video on your website, or your social media, your Facebook page, if you don't want your face on there, You can even just be a voice and just have a slideshow. But think about ways that you can use this industry and knowledge not only to help your client, but also to market your business.
Even if it's a small one. I mean, you can just say this is a select, a private use a very impressive word
Yes.
that they feel special. You could have three people on there. It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
And you
Right.
can share what you've learned. You can share some of the tips we've shared with you tonight. And again, it's just for you to have that credibility.
Yeah, the top 10 trends for 2026.
Mhm.
And once you do it, I don't care if only your mom shows up to listen to you. But then you put it on your website or your social media. And that's where, even with these events that Sandra and I do, the bulk of the people that watch them on the YouTube channel at their convenience.
Exactly. So we want you, Joanne hit on it a little bit. We want you to start requesting material, whether it's a digital catalog. Listen, everybody started doing digital because it's costly to put. I
Right.
mean, uh, some of the catalogs we get are heavy. I mean, even the restoration hardware. I'm like, they have got to spend a fortune. You
Really?
know, it's weighing you down. But take a minute. I mean, even if you set the calendar, on this date, I am going to request 10 catalogs. I'm going to establish 10 relationships in different categories. We want you to organize it. Don't go crazy. And over the years, we've had to take a day or two and go, oh my gosh, I got to delete this. I have not ordered from them in 5 years, and it's the style has changed from where I live. Then don't bother anymore. It's okay that we're not ordering
Mhm.
from, let's say, Uttermost right now.
Mhm.
But organize and edit it, do it by category. Like Joanne said, holiday is big. It might be one of those things. We just offer it for our own clients because we're thankfully busy. But that is another great way for you to not only know what's happening in the trends, but offer that as a revenue source. Here's just some ideas how to keep them organized. Trello, Google Sheets, Dropbox. I love Dropbox. And that's a good way for you to just, whichever way you want to, organize them with to manage your vendors. Be sure that you make some notes about any shipping terms. Like I said, whatever their minimum is for that year, that
Mhm.
may just automatically save you some time to not go use them. Or if they have a reputation for being constantly delayed. So make yourself a go-to 10, like I said, the top 10 vendors that could fall into your niche. Okay, so how to spot a trend? I mean, it's one thing to go to market, but okay, I'm here now. What am I going to do? One of the things we do tell you, don't cross the threshold if it's something that you're not in the market for, because it's like the rabbit hole of TikTok almost. You'll be
Mhm.
down a rabbit hole and you will end the day with sore feet and not have one resource.
Right.
Um, so look for a trend that you see repeated multiple times, or different popular vendors may have some variety of it. Also, those trends that have staying power. Trends cost money. Most clients can't afford to just go change everything in their house because the trend says that it is. I mean, we say it's a trend, but if you can change, let's say, a pillow, or maybe one color, or introduce a new color 3 times, which is what the next point is, try and use 3 times is the rule. If you see it 3 times, then it's enough for you then to take a deeper dive and explore it. Look for those patterns, like we said and mentioned in that other slide. Mixing patterns are really big right now, but look for a pattern not only that you see repeated, but that you also a pattern in the trends. Could be a color, it could be olive green, blue K are the matte finishes, mixing metals, that's still super popular, and round. I mean, we had that oversaturation of round curved sofas, which, let's face it, your knees are knocking together on
Right.
the lift and the end. So it could be a trend, but it's not going to work for the family of six. kind of thing. So any organic curves, I mean, even this space right here, this was one that was highlighted in one of the showrooms, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to get out of that as easily as I. Um, okay, let's go.
And oftentimes, too, as you're watching the trends, it may be that it's going to be the exact opposite of what you've been seeing. For example, I do some consulting for a local kitchen design showroom in our area. And the big trend she's seeing a shift to green cabinets, dark green cabinets. People are tired of the white or the lack of contrast,
Hmm.
I should say. So, we've lived in a white world for quite a while now. So it only makes sense that a trend is going to be adding color
Hmm.
to those spaces.
Good point. So we wanted you to have a little trend tracker chart. So this is an example how you're looking for the elements, some of the key elements that you would have, and then the details to track, like what color do you see repeated in different sources? So like Joanne was just saying, some of that olive green or a rust cream, are things more saturated? Are we still very light and airy? So what colors are you seeing so you can make this in your chart and it could, take it with every year it should change a little bit. Some trends will stay around. They don't all change every year. It could be the patterns that you're seeing, like we talked about the plaid. Um, Stripes are super big right now. Organic abstract shapes, textures. Texture's still really big right now.
Mhm.
The curves, the silhouettes, the vendors, any new ones, you would make a note. This is your chart that you can use. And then
And
any
this
other special notes.
And then this is the time too that you need to be able to step away from your personal DNA. And for those of you that have been around us for a while, where your design DNA is your darn near always. So if you're attracted to a certain shape, color uh, pattern, texture, whatever it may be, make sure that what you're attracted to truly is something that will benefit your client and not something that you really just love. And so you want to see more of it. So take the time to really write down what your trends are and see if you're being repetitious there.
Right.
Look at your past jobs.
That's a good point. So you would see, like we have a friend and it's every house has a clock, one of the big clocks.
Uh-huh.
No more clocks. You
Mm-hmm.
can't have any more. So if you're writing that down every year,
Yeah, so make sure you're doing what's right and not just what you like.
exactly. And we've emphasized this, test it in real life. If it's in your DNA, but it doesn't work in the real life of your client, then you need to change it. But test any of these trends out and make sure they work and they're functional. I mean, like just commented about that sofa. It may be a trend, but I mean, in fact, one year we went to a showroom and we needed help to get out of the chair. So it's got to be a real life option for somebody. Um, and I remember the trend several years ago where it looked like the rug was so worn, you felt like it was frayed when it
Yes,
was so faded. I hated that. I just hated
yes,
it because
yes,
it's like spending so much money on ripped jeans. The
yes.
reality is it doesn't feel like that. So create some mini mood boards. Canva, Joanne has an awesome Canva class. If you are not familiar, it is on one of our design labs. You can take that. Get those physical samples. There's nothing beats touching and feeling some of these products, and they're happy to mail them out to you and see what resonates with your client. You may love it, it may be amazing, but if they don't like it, then you're going to have to, punt and pick something else.
And Sandra, let's just talk realistically too. And you can go to the next slide while I'm making this point if you like. Um, as you go to market, It is so easy, whether you go to market live or you go to market virtually. It is so easy to think, okay, maybe I can buy that. Maybe it's time for me to offer sofas. Start out small. And what I did when I began, when I went to my first market, I bought art and lamps. Those were the two things that I bought because every job I went to was going to need art or lamp. From there, I expanded into textiles, and I always did custom draperies from the beginning of my design career. So think about things. And my warehouse at the beginning was under beds in bedrooms, in closets in my house, until I outgrew that. And then I went to a retail space. But then I would often say to my clients, "Oh my goodness, I have the perfect picture in my inventory for you." And my inventory might have been bedroom number two under my son's bed. But start out buying some small things that you can sell again and again. Don't go shopping at Home Goods. Sell them that $100 pictures that you just made $50 of instead of $100 picture from Home Goods.
Great point. So here's some pro shopping tips. One of the things that I love to do after market, even if I was not at that particular market, I could call that vendor and say, "Hey, can you share with me your top 10 products? What were your hot items this market?" And it may surprise you. In fact, this was one, and they will give you sometimes hints before, market even starts. They'll know what some of their best sellers are. But as you can see, this was a horse print of some sort right here. Um, but you'll have an idea. And they'll also, you see right here, they're giving you a suggestion. This is the manufacturer's suggested retail price. And depending on what your price point is, I mean, how much you've ordered. So it might be $330, but they're telling you this is what you can charge. You want to know if it's in stock, especially if you have one of those instant gratification clients. Is it shipping now or later, like Joanne had mentioned about the seasonal decorating inventory? You can say, I want this to arrive, I don't know, September 15th, whatever it might be. Is this an item exclusive or is it widely available? If you've got a client that really doesn't want to see what you put in her house somewhere else, then that's really an important question. What are the trade discounts? Even if you're buying retail, do not leave the store without saying, what's your trade discounts? Any minimum orders, return policy. This is where we're going to give you a vendor tracking chart that you can use just to keep up with, because it's a lot to take in. I mean, you will almost need another suitcase to bring back printed material that they may be sharing with you. Anything else you want to add to that, Joanne?
The only other thing that I would say too is find out with shipping, will they deliver to residential or do you need to have a receiver? Because I remember the first time that I had ordered some furniture and I had a retail showroom and it had an attached garage, which was our inventory, but they would not deliver to me because I didn't have a dock.
Mm-hmm.
So find out those kind of things. We had to end up going to the trucking company and bringing out the items themselves because we did not have a dock. So things that I never would have thought to ask. So that's one of the questions to keep in mind.
And I learned the hard way, although it worked out okay. I had ordered for a client. I know you guys have seen it. It's a huge horse head that was made out of driftwood. It is
Mhm.
big. I wanted it for my client. I was in Park City at the time and it was going to be perfect. And it was an amazing price. And shipping wasn't terrible, but it was about half. But it still was cheaper than anything I could have bought um, locally. I said, do you need a receiving dock? Do I need to have somebody, whatever? No, no, it's fine. I got home and I had a pretty big front porch. This box was about 6 times larger than the horse head. It looked like it had a horse in it.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay. But luckily I had enough room. But even though they weren't requiring it, these are things you would want to ask. So here's a sample for a vendor tracking. This is a template. You can put in the names and you would have your contact person. They will always have your rep that is in your part of the country. And that's who they want you to reach out to. And so you could put that person's name in there, exactly what you're interested. You don't have to list every product that they carry unless you want to. But you're going to list the products that you care the most about, their website, and then this is where you're going to make your notes about some of the trade discounts that they have. Usually they're shipping in, let's say, 7 to 10 days. I always will make a note, especially if I'm ordering some custom rugs. Let's say I did a 10-foot round one recently, and I had to really make a big note that if you're ordering that custom, that it could take X amount of weeks. But it took longer than I would have thought.
And another question that you want to be asking right now is how can the tariffs impact
Mm.
my order? Because there's been so much bouncing back and forth as to what the rates are and stuff. So be prepared for that. I had a something that I had ordered for a client not too long ago, and the tariffs that they wanted paid on it were more than the product itself was.
Mm.
So do ask that question, and they may not have a firm answer, but be prepared, or for you to say, if the tariffs go more than X amount, then I'm not willing to do that.
Exactly.
Also, make sure in shipping that fee is passed on to your client, whether you include that in your pricing, you mark it up, and that's added on to what your price of the product is, or you do a special line item for that shipping. You do not absorb it unless your markup is triple.
Yes. And clients expect that. That's one of those things they're not shocked at all if you say, okay, shipping's going to be X, Y, or Z, whatever it might be.
Mhm. We're not Amazon.
No, that's right. Okay, so here is what is happening next month in the design boardroom. We're going to be talking about one day decorating, some quick changes, and we're going to change the format a little bit. So we want everybody to get on board with this because we do get these questions throughout the month about, hey, can you look at this room? We just thought this would be a fun way. You send us your problem, your dilemma, your space, what you want some advice on. And this will, in the next design boardroom, we're going to pick some of them. And if we can pick them all, we will. But we're going to actually implement some of the things that Joanne and I think we should do. We might actually implement different regions of the country, things we might do, Joanne might do a little bit different than me. So we just thought this would be not only fun, but educational so that you can see the impact that the one day decorating formula, the system can make in your spaces.
So
So,
these will be case studies, like Sandra said, whether it's your own home, a client's home, whatever it may be. We will not mention names. We will not say this is Sandra's room. So you don't have to worry about that. But we're just going to look at the room very candidly and say, these are some things that you could do, or these are some things that need changed. And we're going to implement that format throughout the rest of the year in our programs, having a case study segment. Um, Thanks to the recommendation of our great social media girl, Steph. I don't know if she is on tonight, but Steph is not only helps with the social media, but she's also has her own design business. And she said, I would just love to have you critique or suggest some of the things that I have. So that's what we're going to do.
exactly. Actually, in this, I just picked this picture, but this piece of art was too small. And this was just a frame that I literally picked up at Habitat for Humanity. And it enlarged the picture to make it the 2/3 of the space that we wanted. So it was a simple little quick fix. And I kind of shared some what you could do for a mat or just put it right on there. Okay, and so last but not least, we're also going to be offering, and I don't know where that went. We're also going to be offering the Style Lab, like we talked about, a few little hot topics that are coming up, and that'll be the trends, and you'll see something come. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, feel free to do that. Okay. Oh, here it is right here. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so this is the design lab. We're going to send out that date and some info about it. And you're going to see all the trends that we didn't have time to put in tonight, but how to make money with it, how it's trends and the profitability, where you can buy them, the margin and the markup, which is so important, how to do that, how to sell to a client, shipping and receiving, how to calculate sales tax, how to make sure that you're covering your butt with that, basically.
Right.
And then you will get a lot of forms and handouts during this design lab. Okay, and then here, oh, sorry about that. And then if you have any questions, then you can reach out to Joanne and me, and we would be happy to help you.
So these deeper dives will be something that we'll be offering once a month that will be kind of a spin-off of the design boardroom. The design boardroom is meant to be kind of a quick little overview. But then we're going to do a deeper dive, and these will be $20 seminars. So Sandra will send the details, and if you want a deeper dive, then come on in. The water is fine.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions before we end tonight? Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us in the design boardroom. We love doing these for you guys.
Okay, I don't see any questions. So
Okay.
thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.